My name is Mindy Mueller, and I've worked at Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge. It's a faith-based recovery program. I've been there for about 10 years. Up until the age of 30, I had lived mostly a life of addiction and crime. It was something that I accepted for my life, and that's who I was. I was surrounded by crime. So it wasn't a surprise to anybody when, at the age of 29, I was randomly pulled over, had a large amount of methamphetamines and a firearm in the vehicle. There was a high-speed chase that took place, and I was arrested and then later indicted on drug trafficking and gun charges. I went into the Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge program prior to going to prison. I didn't go into that program because I wanted to change my life. I literally went in there because it was a year-long program and I wasn't ready to go to prison yet. When I went through the Teen Challenge program, that was the first time that I had ever really encountered supportive people in my life because I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional situation. Yeah, it was the first time that I had met people who had no agenda other than to help me and walk alongside me. So I had mentors, I had staff, and I knew that that's what changed my outcome. So I completed that program and then was sentenced to the 5 years in federal prison, which I served in Waseca. The really terrifying part about prison is leaving. Is what am I going to do next? How am I going to not come back here? How do I live a life different than what I was doing before? So mostly the whole time I was in prison, that's what I was thinking about. But while I was in prison, I thought, what better time to continue to work on myself while I'm here? I knew that I wanted to help people. I knew that I didn't have any skills. I didn't have any job experience. I didn't go to college or anything like that. So I knew that I would have to rely on the experience that I already had. And so I wanted to turn that around and use that for good. Working with mentors and people who wanted to come alongside me, for me, that was a foreign thing. I hadn't had that growing up. I didn't have that in childhood, in adulthood, or anything like that. So I was naturally really, really resistant to that. And anybody who was in a position of authority, I assumed was against me. So to kind of turn a corner and accept that there were people that were willing to just walk alongside me with no agenda was really, really tough. But what I learned is that I had to be vulnerable. I had to take a chance and just trust that there were people out there that were different than what I had experienced. So having a mentor and having somebody who had already walked the road that I had was instrumental to me being successful. Definitely find a mentor. It doesn't have to be somebody who's walked the same path as you, but just somebody you see doing things that you want to replicate in your life, characteristics that you want to have in your life. Follow those people around, allow them into your life. I would say be vulnerable with people. People want to believe in you. The biggest lesson I think I learned through all of this is that I am capable to do so much more than I had originally thought. My whole life I was told that I wasn't going to do anything with my life, I wasn't going to be anything. And I learned that that's a lie, and that those people who told me that, or that message that I picked up along the way, wasn't truth. And I had to start telling myself something different. I wasn't a victim. I wasn't a victim in all this. This didn't happen to me. And it doesn't mean that there wasn't terrible things that happened to me, in my childhood, in my life, and all that. But in order for me to move forward and to live a different life, I had to let go of that victim mentality and just start living, and just one foot in front of the other, accepting the help that was in front of me. So I've been out of prison now since 2011, so over 10 years now. I had spent 15 years in addiction, so I'm reaching that point of almost more clean time than not clean time. And since then, I've gone to college. I've followed the advice of my mentors. I've completely turned my life around. I work for an organization that helps people who are no different than me. If I could say one accomplishment is obviously becoming a mother. Also being able to give hope to people who are no different than me. When I think about my success today, I would say, I'm the director of the Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge program, and that's significant. That's huge. It's a ton of responsibility I never in life thought that I would have. But I would have never been able to get to this place if I didn't make a choice early on after I was released from prison to do things exactly the opposite of the way that I'd done them before.